Are you ready to start on the path of growth and fulfillment? If yes, then you are on the right place. In this video, you will watch the summary of self-awareness written by Daniel Goleman, Robert Stephen Kaplan, Susan David, Tasha Urich, also reviewed by Harvard Business. This video will also teach you about developing self-awareness, business success, and recognizing your skill and talent through this book. Let's begin with the summary.
Chapter number 1.
Self-awareness is a critical skill you should master. Self-awareness ranks among the basic skills that predict growth and success. Honesty and self-judgment are two critical qualities that contribute to this. Being self-aware is about one's ability to track one's feelings and see how they affect all areas of one's life. Self-confident individuals are also not overly critical or unnecessarily hopeful. They know how to avoid situations that trigger their annoyance or push them over the edge. And they can work with challenging clients because they understand how to achieve goals. Self-confident people acknowledge mistakes and try to correct them, while those who lack self-awareness often defend their actions instead. Individuals lacking self-awareness typically lack self-confidence and perceive constructive criticism as a threat or a sign of failure. Sadly, managers or employers often don't give self-confidence the credit it deserves. Instead, they consider it foolish when their employees openly admit their mistakes. However, this is not true because self-aware people are best for managing an organization because of their honest assessment and honesty. Self-confident people are less likely to cheat, lie, or steal, and are better workers. No one is born with self-awareness as a skill. One has to learn it from experts or personal experience. Fortunately, you won't have to rely on your experience alone, as the expert lessons in this roundup will guide you. Did you know? Self-confidence boosts your confidence and creativity by helping you see your strengths and weaknesses, intimate knowledge that makes you more confident. Focus on your strengths to unleash your creativity.
Chapter number 2.
Self-image is a critical foundation for the growth of your self-awareness. Internal and external are two categories of self-awareness. Internal refers to our self-image, including how we see our values, behaviors, passions, and desires. External is how others perceive us in terms of our strengths, weaknesses, and behaviors. Self-awareness is also divided into other subcategories. High internal, low external self-awareness. Individuals with low external and high internal self-awareness are introspectors. They have a clear idea of who they are, but are slow to get feedback from others. Instead of challenging their self-image with the way others view them, they go inward for solitary self-reflection. Such a trait can prevent them from seeing potential points of growth and moving forward on their path to success. High internal, high external awareness. Individuals with high internal and external self-awareness are balanced. They are open to others' opinions of them as well as constant self-reflection. Low internal, low external self-awareness. People with low external and internal self-awareness are seekers. They cannot identify who they are or what they stand for. A poor self-knowledge that leads to feeling stuck and frustrated. Low internal, high external awareness. These people, please. They are interested and focused on appearing a certain way to others, wanting to please people at the expense of fulfilling them. It's tempting to prioritize one type of self-awareness over another. But it would be best if you worked on balancing how you see yourself and how others see you. This issue mainly concerns people in positions of power. Experience and power can give you false self-confidence and hinder self-awareness. Most individuals in positions of power and leadership have fewer people above them who can provide honest advice or helpful outside opinions. Therefore, they tend to overestimate themselves and ignore anyone below them. Also, the more power a leader displays, the more uncomfortable people are about giving feedback. However, the most effective and successful leaders are those who seek both internal and external self-awareness. They are intentional and open, and receive honest feedback from others. Leader is exposed to honest feedback from others at a crucial moment.
Chapter number 3.
Every leader emerges from a defensive moment. Everyone has an event or turning point in their life that subsequently becomes a defining moment. For example, the death of a loved one, the arrival of a baby in the family, or even the environment in which someone is. We may not realize it until later, but it has an immeasurable effect on our lives. For former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, her love of reading and education propelled her career forward. For Labor Secretary Robert Reich, it was his height. And for famous basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski, it was his mother. These remarkably accomplished people recognized their turning point and seized it to make the most of it. The opposite of control is acceptance. Not acting on every thought or resigning to negativity, but responding to your ideas and emotions with an open attitude, paying attention to them, and letting them be experienced. Memory can bring back such events that we should use to our advantage. There are specific exercises that productive people use to increase self-awareness. You can also try them. The first technique invites you to think about when you were at your best. The idea is to think about the tasks you did back then and how you did them. It may also be helpful to consider what you enjoyed most about such tasks. It is wise to constantly review your past and look for clues for strategy and plan-making with a long-term goal in mind. Try implementing this exercise into your self-awareness practice. Recall the situation, and then analyze what you can take away or learn from it. There is one more technique for eliciting helpful self-reflective thoughts. This requires you to model your hypothetical future. Ask questions like, would I spend if I only had 3 months left to live? The answer will reveal what activities or projects you enjoy the most. Another is, when my children and grandchildren ask me what I have accomplished in my career, what will I tell them? Questions like these will stimulate your mind and lead you to a higher level of awareness.
Chapter number 4.
Emotional agility is essential for business success. Countless unspoken thoughts pass through our heads every day. Simple but evaluations and judgments. Such thoughts can bring negativity into how you respond to yourself and others. However, managers and executives should not have negative thoughts to avoid projecting such an attitude onto others in the workplace. Indulging in repetitive emotional challenges at work, such as jealousy, fear of rejection, anxiety, and the like, is bad for executives. The solution lies in developing emotional agility, which is the appropriate management of your thoughts and feelings. Anyone can develop this skill by following a process for each line of thought that looks like this. Be aware and monitor your thought patterns. Recognize your emotions and thoughts. Welcome them and continue observing. Act on your values now. Don't get attached to the negative inner voices that try to control you. If you need to, talk to someone to clear your head. Recognizing your thought patterns is the first step to unhooking them and developing emotional agility. When you are controlled by your ideas and feelings, your thinking becomes rigid and repetitive. But you have to recognize when you're stuck in these never-ending harmful patterns before you can successfully change and create new ways of thinking. Another potential problem is that strong emotions often block your mind and prevent you from exploring them. Fortunately, there is a great solution: tagging. When you label your thoughts and feelings, you prevent them from cluttering your mind. Whether you are experiencing anger or sadness, recognize and name them. It will be easier to work through them and let the emotions go. Acceptance does not mean resigning yourself to negativity. It means paying attention to your emotions and allowing yourself to experience them. After you disengage from negative thought patterns, label your feelings and accept them. The next step is to take action. Choose the procedure that best suits your value system. This algorithm can help you remove an old worldview that no longer serves you and replace it with a new, effective one that works in your favor.
Chapter number 5.
The most difficult leaders to coach are those who do not practice self-reflection. Self-reflection means taking the time to examine your life from time to time. This practice helps you to be calm in the midst of chaos, interpret events, and make sense of your thoughts. Many leaders do not practice self-reflection because they do not understand the process, while others avoid it because they hate to face the sometimes uncomfortable truth. People tend to avoid thinking about the past by planning and behaving as if they were already living in the future. But you can't afford to live while constantly running from yourself. The only way to create change is to examine where you are coming from. It will prevent you from repeating the same pattern of mistakes. Here's how to be more reflective. Identify obstacles that prevent you from practicing reflection. Discover a reflection method that works for you. It could be writing in a journal, walking, talking, cycling, or thinking. Schedule a dedicated time for reflection that works for you and stick to it. Start gradually. You can start with 10 minutes of reflection practice a day and then gradually increase it. Ask for help. If you realize you can't do it on your own, consider asking a therapist or colleague for support. Lack of experience, desire, and enthusiasm are everyday things that prevent self-reflection. Now that you know, don't let them stop you. Self-analytical tools such as trackers and nudgers can also help improve self-awareness. Such trackers reveal patterns and routines that help you set goals, while nudgers ask the right questions to increase your focus and ensure you're on track to achieve them. An automated analysis like this can help you measure 3 things: the physical self, the thinking self, and the emotional self. Your physical condition also affects your work. Tools that measure your movement help you make better professional and well-being decisions. Self-measurement tools can collect related data about routines, habits, and behaviors. Finally, tools that track your emotions help maintain emotional stability. Let's say you need help intuitively following these parts. In that case, self-analysis can become a meaningful way to gather information, analyze it, and create a plan to become more aware in all these areas.
Chapter number 6.
Ask colleagues to tell you how people perceive you at work. It can be challenging to know how others perceive us at work. People could misunderstand you or your intentions without your knowledge. So you need to know the impressions you give off so you can adjust your actions accordingly. There is an audit you can use. This exercise may require some energy, but it won't take much time. It can be challenging to know how others perceive us at work. People could misunderstand you or your intentions without your knowledge. So you need to know the impressions you give off so you can adjust your actions accordingly. There is an audit you can use. This exercise may require some energy, but it won't take much time. Choose 5 people, preferably your colleagues, who see you often or communicate with you repeatedly. Ideally, these are people who will tell you the truth without fear. Request a personal meeting. Promise them that the conversation will be confidential, so that no factors are holding them back from giving you honest feedback. When meeting in person, ask how people generally perceive you, your strengths and weaknesses. Also, ask what they think you could do differently to learn about your potential growth points. Resist the temptation to defend yourself or explain when they are talking. Don't run from the truth, but be brave enough to bridge the gap between your self-image and how others perceive you. You can also ask for negative feedback, even if your manager doesn't want to give it. Try to give yourself negative feedback first in their presence. This simple trick will allow them to more freely tell you things they think you don't want to tell you, things they think you don't want to hear otherwise. We all need people to give us feedback. That's how we improve. After receiving feedback, don't go back to being inactive or freeze up. The things you hear may be uncomfortable or difficult to process at first, but take the time to embrace this feedback and see it as an opportunity to grow. Once you find out what you can do, start working on yourself immediately. Ask colleagues and your manager to help you maintain your commitment to this noble task and provide feedback as you improve. Such a simple exercise will increase your external self-awareness and help you present yourself better in front of others.
Chapter number 7.
Criticism teaches you to be better. Feedback is essential in any organization. Most companies try to train their leaders to give feedback effectively and more often, but it hardly works. Such a situation occurs especially when a manager needs to communicate better. Effective people know how to get value from criticism despite its poor delivery. There can be a variety of discording emotions and triggers while receiving feedback. The three are relationship, truth, and identity. Relationship triggers connect to the person giving the feedback. You may believe that an independent has no right to tell you what to do. Truth triggers depend upon the content of the feedback. If what any person is saying doesn't resonate with you, you have to react with irritation. Lastly, identity triggers are related to your relationship with yourself. They can motivate you to lose your sense of who you are. They have nothing to do with the feedback itself. It's how it makes you feel about your identity. These reactions are normal and natural. You don't have to pretend they don't exist. Still, you have to recognize and accept what's happening, and pick the valuable bits from the feedback, even if it hurts. Let's look at 5 useful steps to avoid discarding feedback. Know your tendencies. Know how you respond to negative feedback and feedback in general. Do you accept, reject, or get angry? Does it bring tears to your eyes? Or do you agree and still find it hard to change? Separate what from whom. Separate who gave you feedback from what kind of feedback you received. Now make firm plans to work on yourself. Analyze feedback. You can't immediately tell if a criticism is helpful or valid, but thank the person and take the time to analyze them before accepting or rejecting them. Ask about it. It's usually better and more efficient to ask for feedback yourself. At least if you asked, you wouldn't be so upset if the answer was hurtful. Start with small experiments. Sometimes you won't know right away if the feedback is right or wrong. Take it anyway, and run some experiments based on the suggestions to see what turns up. It would help if you based your future actions on the outcome of your investigation.
Let's begin the conclusion. We are emotional beings, but we must learn to control our feelings and work to manage them. Becoming more confident is a step towards improving human relationships in the workplace and society. Self-awareness means that you consciously study your behavior patterns and what you can do to improve. This practice is both external and internal. External awareness refers to what people think or say about you. Inner consciousness deals with how you see yourself. Both are important, and you should try to find a balance between them. Confidence is a quality of a great leader because it promotes honesty and a willingness to accept feedback. Positive feedback is sweet, but don't be too quick to throw out negative comments. Take it even if it comes from a source you don't like or the input itself is inaccurate. There is always a lesson or point to be made from the perspective of others. Learn to control your reactions and any feelings that trigger you when you receive feedback. When faced with the need for change after receiving negative input, it is wise to ignore the messenger and focus on the message. You can also ask for negative feedback from your colleagues or subordinates. Do this if you notice they might be avoiding you for fear of getting into your bad books. Emotional intelligence, the ability to receive and act on feedback, and self-awareness are critical to your career. You won't be able to do all of this overnight, but start now and you'll improve every day. Try it. Practice self-reflection. Choose a specific time of day or night. Start slowly, with about 10 minutes of reflection a day. Need ideas? Think of specific situations you've been through. Ask yourself questions like this. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? How should I have behaved? What is the lesson here?